from the dumpster.
Oh God.
They were in trash bags.
They were in bags.
They were in
Yeah, I mean that's good. That's
fully
good.
wrapped in trash bags, and they were on the very top. So like they had not been in there for very long. But
So yeah,
I think somebody went through a breakup.
either a breakup or some woman just kind of like she opened up her room, she looked at it, and she's just like, "I'm 36."
First of all,
What
I don't
is
know why you're
happening?
screaming at me right now. Okay.
So you're like right there.
Are you 36?
I'm 35,
No.
but I turned 36 this year.
Which Alex will on her birthday open it up and like I'm 36. So like it's just right
no,
there.
no. First
I'm
of all,
still 35, so I
first
can
of all,
do this.
First of all, this was half of what I found.
Yeah.
My partner took half of them to their house, and
Incredible.
this
Genuinely.
is what's left. Yeah.
For the audio listeners, there's a pile of stuffed animals.
Yep.
Of
Primarily
all
Squishmallows.
various sizes.
Yeah.
And Alex
Audio
is-
listeners that just checked back in, there's a pile of heads in the back of Alex's room.
2025, baby.
We're doing what we can.
Pile
One
of
head at a
heads.
time. All right.
Just-
Wow.
we're- all right,
How
we
much of
already
that did you
started
get?
recording.
Did you get me disparaging an entire group of women who own stuffed animals? My wife is going to kill me when she hears that.
I don't
It's okay.
think so. I forget what I said. Maybe.
That's-
Listen.
Well, I'll let you
For
know.
the pod, we'll collect this. For the pod, I did call you a slut because you were showing us your minis, and like obviously you're only doing that for female attention.
I also got all my action figures. I got my
I love
my
the
hero up
reverse
there.
sexism.
BJ Blazkowicz. Actually, hold up real quick. Let me just grab this American hero for no other reason other than to show you how cool BJ Blazkowicz is. You know, the Nazi hunter.
Oh.
He's great. So.
Oh, he's from
Wolfenstein. Yeah.
Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Well, I'll let you guys do your intro or whatever you do.
Thank you for giving us that space.
You're welcome.
Listen, it was gonna happen in like 30 minutes. We could have just kept riffing for 30 minutes. All right. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Greeds. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're back with DJ.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, One Shots Tavern. But today we're talking about resistance is required.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's freaking talk about it, and then so we can quickly divulge into other things.
Yeah, let's get
Absolutely.
your shit out of
Yeah.
the way so we can just talk to you like bros.
First off,
so we've done the
promo.
thing before we go off the rails. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what is resistance is required? Well, there's this little thing called Zine Month happening, and what's that notification? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just Edge telling me to open it. Always.
What
Doesn't
it
it
happens
always?
to all of us. I hate it.
Not
It's just like, hey, remember, I'm here.
You
But
can put me as your preferred browser. I'm like,
No,
already
I don't
picked
want
it.
to. I don't-
Please
I-
go away.
Oh my
don't
god,
think I
y'all
do.
took that so nice. I did not. That's not where my brain went. I'm so sorry. I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude.
it's okay. You know, it's just the
I know.
edging content we're all looking for.
I got one brain cell.
It happens. And it's on life support right now because of the
Oh,
fever.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Resistance is Required is a communal-based TTRPG based off of Andrew, my co-host's game Battle School. More so the like SRD that he did for it, which is called Entwine. Basically, the entire premise of Battle School is you make decisions as a team, and then you go do the things. Same for Resistance is Required. Resistance is Required is all about building a sustainable movement. And it was not just a sustainable, but an effective one. Essentially, it is getting together with, a group, and they are called the Proles, because 1984, we're basically living it. And they are the individual leaders of different sections of this movement. And so what they're doing is they're using like special skills that they have, whether they're influencers or they're programmers or they are gardeners or they are really into fireworks for some reason. They take all of those individual skills and they use them to kind of like gain a following and rise to meet fascism. There are like 5 stages of fascism. There's the book called 5 Stages of Fascism. I've been doing a lot of revolutionary reading since November 6th. I think I woke up that day. Wasn't going to do Zine Quest this year. I was going to take the year off and just kind of like veg out for the year. And then the thing that I knew was probably going to happen that I deep down didn't want to happen, obviously, happened. And I just woke up that next day and I was just like, shit, like, what can I do? You know what I mean? Like I am just a guy with a podcast who sometimes makes games and like runs D&D like 8 times a week. You know, like I don't have a ton of what I thought were applicable skills. And so my thought process was like, hey, how do we take a bunch of people who have like odd skills that they don't think are useful for building a revolution and teach them how they can use those to build a revolution? And so Resistance is Required. It was born. The full name, its government name, is Resistance is Required, an uncivil or a manual to uncivil disobedience. The RPG. Got to put the RPG at the end, otherwise they're gonna think I'm some sort of cookbook enthusiast. You know what I mean. But
I know what you mean. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
No, actually, could you just explain more?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
So, I've got helpful tips
cookbook
that are great for in-game resistance building. And in-game, you get together and you plan against whatever the regime master, instead of game master, we have the regime master, is planning. So most TTRPGs are not confrontational with your game master. Mine is, because like you need the face, you need the head, you need the this is the person we're fighting against. And so the game master will take some like D10s or D20s depending on the table. They'll roll out some scenarios such as like oh hey, they're putting up cameras on like every corner and they're surveilling everything you do. How are you as a group going to use your skills to combat that, right? And I got inspired with that scenario specifically because of England. They did not take very kindly to surveillance cameras being put up on every corner in London. And so what they did was they cut them down in broad daylight. It was a whole big thing where people were basically, they were climbing poles, they were spray painting the lenses. I'm not suggesting you do any of these things. This is a game for fun. But, it's looking at the world and how useful, some skills can be. And it's I'm very excited because we've got at this point 10 archetypes of pre-generated characters. I was very inspired by playing Eat the Reich, and I was like, oh, you know what, like pre-gen characters, let people drop in, they can either run it for a session, maybe they want to run it for 5 sessions and do all 5 threat levels of fascism. And so Resistance is Required was born from it.
Adrian, you just played Eat the Reich, right?
Of course, it's like my 3rd or 4th time.
Did you like it? I don't. I don't know anything other than.
I will tell you right now, the way we play it is less about the danger of like what of rolling poorly, and more about how fucking wild can we be.
Yeah, exactly.
Killing Nazi scum.
Exactly.
And so yeah. We did go into a bit of Stalin territory because of how he rolled, but I'm mostly a Gami for the most part.
Yeah,
I'll just say.
No,
that.
I feel you.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of making Elon Musk a sim and then putting him in a pool and taking the ladder out of the pool.
Exactly. All the time.
Fuck, I need to get Sims.
Yeah. It's I really want to like people to have an outlet, you know what I mean? But also like a resource that they can learn to be safe about things. Like what not to bring to a protest is like don't bring your phone with you to a protest. Like they're tracking everything all the time. Like they literally will have a drone going over that's like ping, ping. Oh, there they are. Like,
And they'll have vans where it'll be like faux signals that'll feed through it to get your
exactly.
information.
Oh yeah, it's
But
so
like in the
dystopian.
RPG sense, right? So
In
like
an RPG
the
sense.
fake RPG worlds that we're
Exactly.
creating
Yeah.
on our table, they're highly oppressive and definitely not what's happening
No,
out in real
no.
life or in real protests.
We have a disclaimer that is we're still workshopping it for the the fun of it, the flavor of it, but it is this is a game for fun. Any resemblance to real people or real situations is totally coincidental. Mostly because you've come up with the scenario for the game, and so that's on you. But we're also not responsible for how you enjoy your time outside of playing this game. So gotta make sure there's all of the fine tuning, right? Because it's a game for fun.
Yeah, we gotta make sure it's a fun game.
It's a fun
and make sure
game.
everything is covered. Also, if you don't have fun, my bad. We're still working on it. Also, talk to your GM.
Yeah.
You said the word. I forgot.
Regime
I keep
master.
thinking registrar. That's not
The
it.
registrar.
Also a villain, but not in this situation.
Nope.
Yeah. The regime master, the RM instead of the
the
GM.
Yes.
I was looking at everybody else that had like really fun names for their game master, and I was like, I want a fun name for my game master. Game master's
I
lame.
want to be in this club.
Yeah. We are working with. So I'm working with my friend Maggie, because she did like QA testing for like Destiny and stuff, and so she knows stuff, and she's very good with research, and she is good at like keeping me on track. Which I really need in this time of wanting to just endlessly scroll, so I don't have to look at things, but then they pop up there anyway. And I'm working. Let's see. Jeff from When Suddenly Games is going to do some character art for me. Andrew, my co-host, he's doing all of layout and rules advisory. Sophie, Sadie Oakleaf. Combine those two names. You can see where that went.
Yep.
Sadie,
I see it. It's kind of out there,
Yeah.
but I see it.
Sadie, come attack your boy. I mean,
That's right.
obviously, come attack.
Sadie Oakleaf's doing some of the
Bardic
like
geek.
small illustrations and like assets for me, because like Battle School, there's a bunch of items that you can pick up and you can take with you to the protests to help you. Like 100,000 lumen flashlight, because it's really hard to chase things that you can't see. It's you just light it up and then you just you go. Lots of things that I've been learning lately on tactics that are going to be really fun for this game. So yeah.
I mean, it's good to have a good strategy when entering a new game. I mean, the more you're informed, the better you're going to have with this game.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be fun quotes throughout the whole thing, too. Because, it's mostly like, here's the rules, right? Here's what you do as the game master or the regime master. Here's what you do as the proles. Here's your character sheets. But I got to fill the rest of it with fun stuff, like fun quotes like the worker should remain armed at all costs, even through violence if necessary, which is good old Mark's quote. That
it's for setting.
It's for setting. It's for fun. So yeah, it's funny because like our group chat for this, someone keeps having to pop in. Someone keeps having to pop in and be like, "Hey, just so you know, we need to remind you that Discord is not a secure place and that they do work with the police." And I'm like, "Yeah, but this is a game for fun." So. Resistance is required. We're raising money for Zine Month, February. I believe on February 1st, which is after this has released. or before this is released. Chronologically, I'm screwed up today. And we're just gonna see how it goes. I just want to make this fun, super punk aesthetic game that people can play and learn about protests, like an educational game. It's great. Gotta share the knowledge as much as we can. So, but enough about that. What questions do you have about it?
Where did you jump off in your research and developing this game, other than just the general state of affairs?
Yeah, so I woke up, like I said, it was like November 6th, and the news had broke that he won.
Mm-hmm.
And I laid in bed all day. I know a lot of people did, like, where it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna chill in bed and I'm gonna scroll through TikTok and see how that goes. And then I was talking to my wife, and I was just spitballing ideas of like different things. Because we have this, I'm not going to call it a game. Me and my wife write entire novels without writing them down, where we just sit down and we just kind of like, I'll give an idea and she'll feedback, and then I'll give another idea and she'll feedback. Like we wrote an entire murder mystery novel called Under the Sandbox while we were at the beach. About a man who murdered his entire family and hid them under the sandbox, and they figure that out later on because like he buries all of his victims in the sand at the beach. And so like it's just a silly thing that we do.
First of all, I'm going to say this, and it's not in regards to the plot of your story, but that's so cute and so fucking romantic. Like, that's so sweet.
She's great. My wife is the most perfect person for me, because she takes my random thoughts and she pushes me to grow them. And she's like, oh yeah, write that down. What about this? And I'll be like, no, I don't know about that. Or yeah. And then we just build these silly little worlds. I don't know if I gotta say this. The first one that we did was the crappening.
Oh no.
And it was about one day, all of a sudden, every single person on Earth craps their pants.
Now this is romance. Now this is fucking romance.
But it's so, well, listen, because I've had a partner like that. Like, you're like, I'm just going to jump off on this one fucking idea. Come with me. Yeah. And like, there's nothing that makes you feel better about your person than for that person to be like, you know what, baby, let's go. And then you both dive head first into the pile of poop.
Into the crappening. That was basically like, no one knows why, but all of a sudden everybody on Earth, what they had to or not, just crap their pants. And anyway, so we do this. We spitball. We build off of each other's ideas, and she really encourages me to be creative. And I was just thinking, about punk movements, and I was thinking about protest songs, and like, listening to all music about it. And excuse me, I got the hiccups. I all of a sudden just kind of like went, resistance is required. And I was thinking, because I saw someone write out the word assistance is required for something. And I was like, assistance, resistance. And then I was thinking, like, those campus telephone booth things, they're blue ones, and they're like, if assistance is required, please call. And so I was just like, oh, what if like we just cross out things, we cross out the assistance, we put it as resistance, and if resistance is required, and then that would be like the cover and stuff. And that was how it was born. And I got really excited, but I was like, I'm not doing this by myself again. I'm absolutely not writing things out by myself. I'm not doing it alone. And so I asked some friends to help. And all of a sudden it developed and it just grew and grew. And all of a sudden we went from, oh, this is just a fun little game about, protesting, to like adding a renown system where you're growing your movement. And as such, these are people who have signed up in your fantasy world to throw themselves at, the opposition like fodder. Right. These are people who like have agreed to the fact that they're probably going to get arrested. They're probably going to get caught, or they're going to have to lay low. But you need to recognize that when you spend renown, you're spending people, because every revolution has a very important material component, and that is people. You can't have a revolution without people who are willing to put themselves in somewhat of a precarious situation. It's just not possible. They are the ammunition to the gun that is revolution. And basically, going, hey, we want to say you're like the muscly, athletic, bro-y archetype in the game. You have your gym head bros all push themselves at the front of the line, and they're pushing back against riot shields, right? You have like your pyro maniac called the Ignitionist, by the way, because it's more fun than pyrotechnics. But because I was watching the protests happening in Georgia, the country, not the state, where they were just like shooting off all these fireworks, right, and like running distraction and overwhelming like their opposition because, oh, things are happening here, oh, things are happening there. And then all of a sudden someone took my idea about the muscly bro and they're like, hey, do you know what happens when you push the line at a protest? And I was like, well, I've seen it. The police kind of like part. And they said, yeah, what happens is they part and then they circle. And so the people pushed past the line, the police then separate, and then all of a sudden they're surrounding the people who pushed. But if you have a ton of people who are doing it, who are very strong, then all of a sudden it becomes a matter that is harder for them to tackle, literally. And I was just trying to have like a lighthearted game that is also very much like dark. Right, like there's a lot of silliness that you can do in the game to challenge fascism, but like I try to keep it to where like a lot of it's fun, because I want people to be able to have an escape that is educational and not feel like they just walked out into the street of an actual protest and are overwhelmed. So I've developed it a lot more since I talked to you guys at PAX, like a ton more. Andrew and I were talking about a bunch of fun mechanics and stuff that we can add, and I'm just like, oh man, scope creep is so easy to just overdo. And make a little too much. But I don't know. I want a game that inspires people, lets people know that like you are not powerless. And that, like, even all of these different groups who are currently mad over the same thing, like, if they come together and, like, they can do anything, including topple a city-wide regime. That is important to say. Technically, the game is about a city-wide regime, which makes it legally distinct from, anything national politics.
Any other regime it would may be confused with.
Yeah, exactly.
Legally speaking.
Right. So, yeah.
But I think that's important, especially nowadays, because there is that level of escapism that maybe other platforms give us, like kids on bikes, right? Shrinks it down to like kids, so then it's not. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't sound so overwhelming. And then something like Dungeons or Dragons and Pathfinder gets us literally out of our world into another world. Right. Star Wars puts us in space in an area that we feel comfortable in, because everybody loves Star Wars. Fuck everybody else.
Yes, everyone loves Star Wars, and the people who don't, the people who say they don't, they're just fishing for views. Ignore them. Don't give them the views. Just call them silly gooses and move on.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic. No further.
But this sounds like a game that, like, even in feeling powerless, there is like a real life element of I could do something. And, you know, maybe there is a real life, I could take this into the streets and maybe, but that sounds preposterous. Like, we are just trying to control what little we do have control in our lives.
Right.
But if I could feel like I could take over, you know, a citywide government thing,
Regime. Yeah.
regime,
Regime. Yeah.
that I could see on some level that I would get some enjoyment out of being able to topple regimes.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think it does play a big factor in what people want, maybe right now, for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, yeah.
For whatever.
Well, and the funny thing too is, like, you know, you look at these movements, you look at these protests, and, you know, people often talk about, like, well, how do you organize these things? Like, how do you come together, and how do you push past a protest, right? Because there's a thing that fascism does where they eventually just stop paying attention to protests, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of let you do your thing and then continue doing whatever they're doing. It's something we've seen in the United States for a long time, where people start and end their activism with a picket sign.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking more direct actions in their community to change people's minds, and actually, you know, start to challenge a regime. And a lot of resistances required are peaceful actions that are used to bolster the community to take action together, because that's the biggest thing. It's essentially class consciousness, the game, right? It's you know, hey, you know, slightly left-leaning redneck friend of mine, you know, can you show me how to do this and how to help, you know, maybe go hunting, I don't know, you know, can you show me how to can you show me how to garden, right? Like, we need to make sure that our community's fed. We need a pantry that we're going to be able to, like, feed people out of. And it's like there's so many things that we can do. Like, protests are great, they're visible, they need to keep happening in game. But also at the same time, you know, sometimes the protest isn't enough. You need to organize, you need to get people voting, you need to get people angry and fired up, and, you know, pushing the boundaries of what, you know, their free speech allows, because otherwise it's just noise to them. And if we just keep making noise, eventually they're just going to tune it all out and just continue on without us. And we can't leave entire groups of people behind if we want to change the world. So, yeah.
I concur. I think it's just to make sure nobody thinks I don't concur. I concur.
I think, Adrian, I think you're the loudest one in this podcast right now. So
probably
just
how I am. What I think that it is very important. And I understand the exhaustion of, like, paying attention, because not everyone has that attention span. And when I say exhaustion, in a way of, like, it becomes numbing and it's not as proactive than it is. To me, I've consistently kept updates on things around myself and others and things that are important, and I keep myself at least informed. That way, when I have these conversations, especially with my, I didn't know I had one until recently, dumbass uncle, who was just very online on the right. And I'm like, wow, there was one in our midst.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Fucking crazy. Anyways, he spreads around fake. I mean, I verify it, and I'm like, hey, listen, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And here's the fucking proof. It's in the goddamn pudding, you old shit.
But, like, that's so important to do.
Yeah.
I actually learned that this past week with my mom. because my mom is very bipolar. She's a very sweet woman. But like, she hasn't always been the most stable person. She used to be leading down a bit of a path that was kind of schmatzy, you know, a little weird, you know. She was saying some things that I was like, that is incredibly not okay to say. She was, you know, talking about, she at the time, like, she didn't like gay people, she didn't like trans people, she didn't like anybody. She didn't understand that, like, you know, there was racial discrimination going on. She didn't see it. I was talking to her yesterday, and my mom has finally gotten to a place where she likes gay people, she likes trans people, and she hates the police because of the way they treat black people. And I was just like, you've been listening to me like this entire time? Oh my God. Like, that's incredible. And she's like, yeah, and don't get me started on Donald Trump. And I was like, you are my mother. you are my mother. I'm so proud of you. You know what I mean? Like,
Mama, the growth.
It's huge for her. Now, she does believe that the reason why Donald Trump wants Greenland is because God's throne is in Greenland. I don't know what that means.
You know what?
But
you know
I'll
what?
take the wins where I can get them.
That one's fine. We can justify that one. We can justify it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you know, it's whatever. You know, it's silly hypotheticals. But yeah, talking to your relatives, like, it always feels like it's not worth it. But like, my dad, who still had the stupid flag, he still had the stupid sticker, right?
Yeah.
Has been listening to me because he hasn't voted since 2016. And I was like, I mean, that's a step. You haven't voted, like, you stopped voting for him. Good. But like, I would prefer if you voted for the other side. But listen, you know, it's something, right? It's
progress is incremental. It's not going to be like all of a sudden switch.
Yep.
It takes time.
Taking your relatives, your friends, your family, you know, anybody who falls down those pipelines. I forgot who it was, but they said, single out the people that you want to save, that you want to change, focus on them, because like, you can do it. You might be able to, and just try to go for the battles that you can win. To, you know, incremental change, little by little, changing people's minds. Now, for some people, that's totally not safe, and you know, obviously, I do not want you to put yourself into harm's way, right? Like, if you are a marginalized group and like going back home to talk to your parents about, you know, any of the political stuff is dangerous to you, absolutely do not. You know, you can send your letter, you can send your text message, your email. You should not put yourself in harm's way to change the minds of your family.
Yeah.
But you know, you should change who you can, because like, I think everybody's just a different level of scared. And scared of different things, and that really pushes them into weird places. So that's kind of the journey I've been on lately.
Yeah. I have an aunt like that, but the interesting thing is that you can't listen to her upright, because she spouts off that she loves Donald Trump, she's supportive, and then you listen to what she actually thinks and believes, and you're like, those don't match. Those don't match. What you're saying and what you say that you support, they don't.
Right.
They're not in the same box. And so even sometimes, I'm not saying this is all the time, but you've got to listen to, you on some level do have to listen to people, because like, yeah, I'm going to roll my eyes when you start saying and spouting off about how great Donald Trump is, but when we start talking about policies and we start talking about how people are people, and, you know, on the social services that you received growing up and how those still need to be put in place and those are still important.
Yeah.
That becomes secondary to your Donald Trump, because that you're saying you don't support that by saying that up front, but then you talk about the nitty gritty and you're like, okay, but you're wrong, because you started off here and you're here, or or you're there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. People are fucking. It's worse. It's the worst, man.
It's so hard. Look at like TikTok lately, right? Everybody is so ready to attack and dismantle anyone and everyone that they don't take the time to actually see who they're yelling at. This lady had posted a video about like crying about losing her food stamps, and how like that was going to affect her kids. And a bunch of people were like, fuck around, find out, fuck around, find out. And she's like, what is it about me that makes you think that I voted for Donald Trump? Mm-hmm. Like, all of her content was like anti-Trump, and like people are just like, nagging on her. And then you have Amani, Crutches and Spice being like, I knew it. I knew this was going to happen, because like we just turn on each other. And like we look at people on our level, and we're mad at them, and those people are dealing with the same things that we're dealing with, and they're confused and we're confused, and it does nothing for us to be mad at them, when the people that we should be mad at are the people that are lying to them in the first place. Donald Trump and the entire administration. Like, I'm mad at them. I'm mad at all of the Republicans. I'm mad at the American Christians who, like, think that Jesus is too woke compared to, they're like, oh, I don't know, can't be feeding the poor, and
give them Old Testament God. Okay, let's bring back Old Testament God for them.
Absolutely.
But even then, we had a plague, and they still were like fucking around. We did for a moment bring back Old Testament God, and they still said no. They cannot be pleased.
They don't like it, They like whatever is going to make them money and make them feel like they still have power, because for some reason people care about feeling like they are powerful, as opposed to like just being a community member and having a good time with people, right? Like, what on earth do I want $1 billion for? I genuinely don't. The idea of it is gross to me, because I wouldn't even be able to give it all away. Right? Like, it's just a waste of time for me. Whereas, we do small things like, going to PAX Unplugged and hanging out with everyone. Right? Segue. But like,
ignoring all the groups of people. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, some of us try to hang out with people.
You know what?
Others,
some of us had to go to a punk rock show. Okay?
Others go to concerts. It's very strange, but no.
It's fine.
No,
it's its own form of resistance.
It's
feel non-conformity.
I did the punk rock thing. If anybody in this chat right now is living their punk rock life, it was me. I didn't go to the thing and just talk to people. I did my own thing. I beat to my own drummer.
And I'm proud. I'm just really like, I was like, oh, I'm going to get to meet Alex too. This is going to be great. And Adrian's like, I will text her, see if we can get them to the somewhere.
I didn't. Okay, listen. To be fair, we are still in this journey that's an existence that people actually like me or want to meet me, and don't. We are working on it, and by acknowledging it being a problem,
you're the most likable person on this podcast. Okay. Every time we go live, everyone loves you, and they talk, oh my god, I love Alex. They're talking to me about this, and I'm like, I'm fucking shit, I guess.
You are not shit. You're big and scary, and I think that's
that's contrary to what you've been saying. It's like, who would ever think you're big and scary?
No, I think you're
like, people fear me, and you're like, no, you're not. You're a big teddy bear.
You are a big teddy.
Which one is it?
Whichever one wins this argument.
Well.
No, and I listen, and it's a hard lesson. It's by no means an easy thing for me to like. Yeah, it's fine. People want to meet me, and I'm not throwing up. Can we
Yeah.
well, because I did that this morning. Thank you, flu. Listen, this is my plug right now. Go get your fucking flu shot because
Yeah,
I threw up so
absolutely.
hard that I blew like little capillary vessels in my eye. Like, it's bad. It's bad, guys.
Yeah,
Just
we
go
avoided
get your
the
shit.
con crud after PAX, and it was great. And then we went to go have a Friendsgiving with friends, and every single person ended up testing positive for the flu. And it's just like, how is it I can be around 30,000 people and I don't get sick? But
No.
when I am just spending 2 hours with friends, it kills me.
Yep.
But
I have literally, and I usually can figure it out. I know a bunch of my the teachers at my school are sick. But I think I'm the only one that was hit the hardest, that everyone else is still
makes sense.
trudging on. But for whatever reason, my fragile soul was taken like fucking elbow straight to the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, go get your flu shot.
Yeah. Listen, I understand. Like it is a weird thing to all of a sudden go to a space like a convention and somebody knows you, and that's weird, right? That's weird for me because like Gen Con this year was our first convention as professionals. And then, we went to PAX Unplugged and stuff like that. Well, first big convention. We went to a bunch of small ones, but like it was our first year as professionals. And all of a sudden, like, wait a second, I know DJ, right? And I'm like, I guess, yeah. What do you know me from? One Shot
Do
Tavern.
I owe you money?
Oh,
Like what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, you're one of the 50 weekly listeners. Like, that's crazy. No, you know what I mean? Like, or however many listeners. I haven't looked in like 8 months, but I stopped looking. It's
Don't worry about it.
it's
many
best to
listeners.
just not look
So
at it.
many listeners.
But like they're like, oh yeah, and like people just knowing things that I've done, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on TikTok a lot, but like I'm not like Zach the Bold or the McElroys or the Dungeon Dudes, right? Like so I don't expect anyone to know me, but when they do, it's intimidating. So I get it. We didn't go to a punk rock show, but we did go to the
And we hate you for
Philadelphia.
that. No, I'm just kidding.
We went to the Philadelphia Lights, for lighting the tree,
Ooh.
and like the Christmas Village and stuff, and watched them do that. And then we went and ate oysters instead of like playing games and hanging out with people. So we did our own thing too.
Some might say
I like that you
I'm also a
justified your
rebel.
punk rockness of like
Yeah, it's so punk rock to go to the
Yeah, we
oyster
can see
bar.
the hair. Okay, we see the hair.
Oh yeah, I decided that the slate blue wasn't enough to
blue.
differentiate me from other white guys with beards. So I went with sapphire blue to really make sure that all of the comments on all of my videos is, why does this guy look like the typical liberal? Or do you know who the McElroys are? That's it's been a nightmare, but it has been helpful. Oh gosh, you try to do one thing for yourself, and people will just eviscerate
Will
you
crucify you.
for no reason. Like, calm down, please. For those who don't know, One Shot Tavern, mostly professional TikTok account when I do stuff there. DJ the GM, highly recommend you steer clear. Just because I say lots of things, and I get myself in trouble. I had the FBI called on me over cute winter boots.
I mean, Adrian.
What?
Sorry, you're not.
Adrian's
on that
not quite chronically online in the same
yeah.
way that I think we are chronically online.
Cute winter boots.
Just go Google it.
Conservatives don't understand things.
Uggs?
Specifically, they're really
No.
bad at abstract thoughts. And so when liberals and leftists and all of the people on that left side decide that they are going to have a code word, conservatives automatically think it's violence, because when they use code words, they're talking about violence.
Yeah,
and so it's we are talking about violence, you're talking about violence, right? And that's that kind of thing. We're not. It was very silly. Like, some people kind of took it that way, but like one guy was like, "Oh, this is treason. You're trying to buy guns for migrants." And I'm like, "What? That is not what's going on. We're cheating an algorithm. Like, we're trying to protect people from, like, warn people that, like, the ice cream truck, the ice man is coming through town. Cute Winter Boots was just, hey, just so you know, like, ice, or hey, just so you know, you should do this, because what protects you from ice, right? Like,
Cute winter boots.
Cute winter boots. You walk over the ice. Now, if I wanted to talk about violence or something, I would talk about getting a de-icer. That's not what I was suggesting.
Yeah.
I would talk about salt.
Salt?
Maybe a singular
things
salt,
that get
like a
rid
salt.
of
A
ice.
salt, right? A salt cube.
Yeah. So that's that. So you guys can find me there, those places. Just I like I said, be aware that I don't really have much of a filter when it comes to my personal account, especially on Blue Sky.
That's the point of a personal account.
Alex, you
I
got
will
a Blue
say,
Sky?
I do. I don't think I don't have Blue Sky. The only one that I pulled up was the Dungeons and Degrees. I probably need to fill in the rest of my stuff too. But I did have the strangest thing happen this week that I thought I was hallucinating on a fever. But my campus is 60% Hispanic and whatever 40% African American, and a lot of my children are first gen students, which means that they may or may not, of course everybody here is legally, but that may or may not actually be true. But with all of the things that are being released, it's the first time that our teacher chat was like, hey, here's what we're going to do. Or and when I say prayers were being made of like, I hope they don't come to our campus because we're going to throw down. And I was like, are these the same people? Because they're invoking the Lord's name, but it doesn't sound like it's peace. It does not sound like we're just going to let these people just like roll in and affect our families and communities, which does not make me feel better about the state of our situation, because the conversations at my school are not like, they won't come to us. It'll be fine. Like we will be like, there's an actual turn of like, hey, this is going to fuck us up.
Yeah. And
we're going to make sure that our kids are protected.
Yeah.
And that's a wild change for my community.
I mean, it's one of those things that's definitely brought a lot of people together that normally aren't together on things, because, like, we all know people who are immigrants. Like, we all know people who are, born citizens. Their parents were first generation immigrants. We know those things, and like we don't want to see those people hurt. Right? Like, I look at my players in my games, and I run 7 paid games a week. I have I think 10 trans players, as well as several immigrants, and I worry about them. Right? I'm genuinely worried about them. And so, like, for me, walking or driving through town and seeing a truck that says Border Patrol on it. In Michigan, it's not uncommon because we are within the 100-mile border of Canada, and therefore I have no rights. But like, it's horrifying, because I'm like, oh no, like, has somebody warned this family that runs this restaurant that like, and oh no, they're seen downtown there. Like, am I gonna go down there and my favorite restaurant's gonna be boarded up because, ice came through and like an entire family is now, gone. And I'm just like, it really is one of those things that like I never actually expected to see in my life. I grew up in a farm town. There was a good percentage of the students that were like green card, like, their parents came here as migrant workers. Like people who are Marines, like serve, and all of a sudden they're terrified. Like Marines, like served in Afghanistan for the United States, and all of a sudden they're looking at like, oh, my green card doesn't matter. They're not paying attention to that.
No.
So yeah, it's hard, and like it's one of the we're at a time where resistance is required. Zine month 2025. No, we're at a time where like resistance is community, where just being a part of a community and protecting the people around you and making sure everybody has what they need is resistance. It is peaceful. It is important, and it changes people's lives. And I think that's one of the things that people like don't seem to realize is like, yes, protests are really cool and are very helpful, and I think you should go to them and do them and be involved, but also be involved in your local community and make sure that they're protected. Like, otherwise your community might not exist. So.
And like 2020 and the Black Lives Matters movement, like that's what rocketed me back into education, which we could say the singularly worst time to get into teaching, was 2020, 2021. But I was
like, why? And then I remembered.
Is the worst time. I mean, it's the easiest time for sure. Like you could get a job. No, you just needed a degree. But
that's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
You could just have some paperwork with your name on it.
Yeah.
But I was feeling so frustrated that going to protests, my dad had a heart transplant. I couldn't go to protests without jeopardizing not seeing my dad. And that feels really frustrating because you want to go do something, you want to help, and you like having your voice heard in that way is really important.
Right.
But some communities, some people, you have to find alternate ways.
Yeah. And
I think the other important part is remembering that other people's way of protesting is a still valid way of protesting.
Absolutely.
And I think we should commemorate and like talk about that there are more than just getting out in the field. There are more than just one or two ways of doing this. And even somebody's what they feel like is a small way of pushing back is still important and still necessary, right? Those community members still need to be there to continue the community, to continue the growth. We can't, not everybody has the fortune of just giving up and pushing back, but it's a balance, and we're all in this together.
But we are, and if we support each other, and if we are making sure, like, it's so funny because like you can take the model of the what Christians should believe, right? And like the thing that's presented before them literally in their own Bible, where it's like, hey, just live as a community, have a little commune, come together, pay each other's bills, feed each other, make sure that people are taken care of. Like, that's it. Just love each other, and that's it. But like, if you just do those small things, you change people. Like, you change the world, and that's huge, because like the world, like people think that the world is this immovable thing, but like, all it takes is just small pockets of people spreading love with each other and, supporting each other. And all of a sudden, like, you start to see radical change in an entire area. And I think that is going to be the only thing that is going to get us through these next 4 years is just love, support, and protecting each other. So.
Yep. And listen, if the people you're looking up to are saying you don't need to be educated any more than what we're giving you, that's the issue.
Yeah.
All of the information needs to be presented, and you can decipher that information. But if the people are saying, no, you don't need to look at this one. This one, we're going to ban it. You probably need to read the one that is banned just to figure out why is it being banned.
Exactly.
Because maybe it's important to somebody. It's important to them. It's important to them.
So if you're listening to this, find every banned book list you can and just go on a shopping spree.
At your local bookstore.
Yeah. Hand them out when you're done, too. Because there's nothing they can do to stop you from, like, just handing someone a book. That'd be silly.
Or your local library.
Yeah, hand out those two while you're at it.
Local
They've
libraries?
got plenty.
You know, the people
No
who are
one's
like,
keeping
hand out the
track.
new Bibles, just trade with them. Just be like,
Yeah.
And
are you there,
here's
God? It's
the
me.
Communist
It's me, Margaret.
Manifesto.
Yeah, Communist Manifesto. We went 2 different ways, Adrian.
Listen,
Cheers.
hand out your Bibles with a copy of the Communist Manifesto.
Por qué no los dos?
I
would take them. Listen, I would talk to you. If that's how you're advertising, let's have a conversation. And why are you doing both? I really want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, if I had time, I'd dive into it.
Just a Bible or just the Communist Manifesto?
No.
I don't think I want them. Both of them together?
Interesting.
I would talk to you.
Here's the Kama Sutra.
Pairs really good with the Song of Solomon. For those of you who are listening, Alex just died.
I did. There's been a couple of those that I have cut out my microphone because the wheezing is not nobody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, DJ. Yeah. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Oh, this is new. Since last time, things have changed a little bit. Like, yes, you can find me at oneshotstavern.com. Old news. You can find me at beezrpgs.com. That is BEEZEERPGS.com. I know it's a mouthful, but my last name is Baker Zakala, and so BZ, it works really well together, you know. Me and my wife hyphenated, and she's my best friend. So, BZ RPGs is where I'm going to be publishing things. You can find me, Blue Sky specifically is one of my favorite places right now. BZRPGs.com is my handle there. Highly recommend you hop on Blue Sky just because it does feel like a nice, peaceful place to actually talk about things that matter. And of course, I'm going to send you the link to Resistance is Required so that you can find that wherever Adrian puts it.
It's in the description.
Yeah.
It's in some description. It's all the descriptions. Whatever you're watching.
And if you're looking at it, it's growing on screen and it's encompassing. And now you can't see anything.
It's here. No, it's here. It's here.
No, it's covered the screen, and I'm not making a bunch of edits like I did the other time.
It's my favorite, though.
Yeah, no, it's all black now. The screen is black. I don't have to edit anything.
I feel you. Don't worry.
All right, thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
Oh
yeah, there's a huddle. Yeah, go.
Thank you, dear listener, for joining. Oh, that sounded real weak. Hold on. Thank you, dear listener, for joining us on another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. You can find us wherever pods are cast. Please be sure to subscribe and rate 5 stars only, because that's what we need to grow. You can also share us with your friends, enemies to lovers, I guess your neighbors, I don't know, your doctor, like go get your flu shot. So the pharmacist, just tell them about Dungeons and Degrees.
Yeah, tell your mom we talked about the Bible in this one. She'll love that.
Oh my god, we absolutely talk about the Bible in this one. Like, just go.
That's the title. This one has the Bible in it.
Oh gosh. Why am I not getting any clicks on Resistance is Required?
That's wild.
It's wild.
You can also support us through Patreon at patreon.com/dungeon and degrees. We're working on growing. Please help us out. If this literally could become a full-time job, I would die. I would probably not die.
And then I would have to work doubly as hard.
I would not die. We would be ever so grateful if that could ever become a supplement to any part of income, you know? Because let's be honest, it's what we need.
It's a living.
It's a living.
That's what they say.
You can also find us on social medias at Dungeon and Degrees. Everything except for that Twitter. Fuck you, Elon Musk. Go die in a swimming pool with no ladder.
In Sims.
In
The Sims. Just The Sims. Oof.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
I'm DJ.
Go have some fun.
I like the ASMR.